What's up, my bearded people?
How's everyone doing? We are coming to you with another video, another scary video. This one's called Top 5 Ghost Sightings at Disneyland. So we are trying the haunted video reactions for now.
Yeah, and a little bit of background for this channel. This is a little bit of a different one than I've ever seen him post. I'm a big Disney fan myself, so I watched some of the other videos and happened to see this one pop up and thought, hey, let's see what we think about this and what kind of things he's seen at Disneyland. So let's see what happens.
Go ahead.
As always, you know, subscribe if you like what you're seeing. Please leave a comment down below if you like the video, like it. Let us know what else you want to see. Maybe you want us to go a different route next time. So anyway, without further ado,
let's get this thing started.
Conspiracy is a word that draws forward images of assassinations, political espionage, and hiding information from the general public. And the phrase urban legend doesn't always elicit fear from someone who hears it. Maybe instead of thinking about the dreaded clown statue in the bedroom or the Bunny Man Bridge, they think of local legends that are popular.
Oh, I remember that.
As teenagers, something that may not.
That's like the clowns that came out of the woods and all that. Oh.
Saw a lot of them get run over by cars. Serves them right. Play stupid games when stupid rises, people.
Be super scary, but a very pervasive conspiracy theory, urban legend, and popular folkloric belief is in that of ghosts, spirits of dead people who have since passed on to the next life or have failed to do so and are now stuck here on Earth. Either spirits with unfinished business or spirits that like to move plates around in a cabinet, I guess. Why would a ghost go down a long dark hallway or kick a ball across the room when it has very important business it needs to be attending to? And in that same vein, why would a ghost spend the rest of eternity, the rest of its existence, at Disneyland, riding Space Mountain over and over again until judgment?
Better than a school.
Yes, honestly, is as good as mine. Although Space Mountain is a very fun ride, so I can see why you'd want to spend a very long time on there. Eternity? No, I'm not too sure. Today we dive deep into the paranormal side of Disney. And I'm not necessarily just talking the Haunted Mansion, even though, you know, I could for hours. So
it's a
join
good ride.
me, shall
very good
you,
ride.
as we call in the spirits wherever they're at and discuss ghost sightings at the happiest place on Earth, Disneyland. Now, just because Tomorrowland carries grand visions of the future that could be, doesn't mean necessarily that it doesn't contain memories from the past. Memories of a long-forgotten Disneyland that existed in ages past, and of course we're talking about Mr. Oneway. You see, at Disneyland there are legends of a spirit that haunts Space Mountain, and if you're exceptionally lucky, you may get to ride the attraction with him. Next time you're riding single rider at Space Mountain, whenever that may be, look to your right or to your left if you're in the right seat, and you may see a man with red hair sitting alongside next to you. Now, I'm not saying every person with red hair who rides single...
Yeah, you're right. You might one day. Might see somebody with red hair. Alex has left the chat.
I see something with red hair to my left. It's not a good way to start this video.
Yeah, I was going to say that's
on Space Mountain is an ethereal spirit, but the only ghost in Space Mountain is one with red hair that rides single rider. Your partner for this voyage.
I do like riding single rider.
Space Mountain in California is infamous for having its very own resident ghost, probably one of the 999 haunts who escaped from the Haunted Mansion. This ghost is named Mr. Oneway, and not like the space traveler or the lonesome astronaut. It's not something that would make more sense on Space Mountain. No, this is Mr. Oneway. I'm assuming because he never gets off the ride. Mr. Oneway is said to be the spirit of a man who died riding Space Mountain in the years gone by, and continues to ride on Space Mountain, the ride on which he was so untimely killed to this very day. But there's a problem with this story. No man has ever died on Space Mountain. A woman got sick and died after riding Space Mountain, but not on the ride in the park. So is this just a tall tale, or is Disney hiding the truth from all of us? Probably the first one, if I were to guess. The official story of Mr. Oneway goes like this. One day, a guest waiting in line for Space Mountain struck up a conversation with a red-headed gentleman who was nice enough, but seemed a little odd because he wasn't up to date with all the recent changes Disneyland had made. Our guest was seated next to the odd red-headed man on Space Mountain, and at the end of the ride, he noticed the red-headed man had disappeared from the ride car next to him. Upon reporting his experience to a cast member, the guest was told no one had been seated next to him in the car. This incident was a likely encounter with the ghost named Mr. Oneway, who people say interacts with guests in line, rides with single riders, and even
How to make yourself kind of like lose your lunch in the happiest place on earth. What do you mean there wasn't somebody sitting next to me? I clearly was talking to a person with red hair.
He was right there.
Oh, that's kind of creepy.
Appears in the cast locker room.
Get off,
But
where'd
here's
that
the
guy
kicker,
go?
Everybody, Mr. Oneway isn't just a legend. There is a legend video, which you're watching right now, of Mr. Oneway riding Space Mountain. Now, if you can't see him, I'll zoom in.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
a
look
little
at
bit.
that.
Right there, that is the red-headed gentleman we've been talking about this entire time. Now, after watching this footage, I say, make the call for yourselves. Is this a spirit endlessly riding Space Mountain for eternity, or is this just a weird camera glitch or a smudge? Either way, next time you're riding
I don't know
Solo
about
Rider,
that.
If we're talking about the story, why is this guy voluntarily getting on this ride, though?
Huh. Yeah, that's interesting.
But, I mean, it looks like it adds up.
Yeah, that's
a weird
interesting.
man who doesn't know about Galaxy's Edge and has red hair starts chatting
Doesn't know about
Galaxy's
Galaxy's
Edge. A
Edge.
little more cautious because this guy may in fact
Gotta make upgrades, man. Gotta move on to Smuggler's Run is what you gotta do.
Yeah, what did the guy look like on the other side of this?
be from beyond the veil. We now find ourselves in New Orleans Square, one of the scariest lands in all of Disneyland, and that's for good reason. It houses two of the most unnerving attractions dealing with death, Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion. This story specifically brings us to the Haunted Mansion, though. Of course, the imaginations of guests and cast members alike tend to run a little bit wild in this attraction because it's so dark and so eerie. This story is about the man with the cane. A cast member writes, I worked the Haunted Mansion in 1978. At that time, a story about the man with the cane was already circulating. I was told he would appear in an empty doom buggy in the load area. The story goes, a girl was working load late one night, and they had gone down to one stretching room and the crowds were very, very light. This does not happen anymore, just in case you needed to know. I mean, I don't know, it probably does, but there's just so many people at the mansion all the time now. Anyways, only one stretching room being operational meant that there was usually a large lapse in guest in between the stretching room openings. This left the ride operator alone for a few minutes, walking the load belt, listening to that music and the sound effects, and peering into the darkness that stretched from one end of the load area to the other. One night, this hostess is working load, when, from the unload area, a doom buggy rounds the corner with a man sitting in the middle of the seat, looking very gaunt, staring straight ahead, hands resting on a cane positioned in front of him. The operator tries to make contact and say hello, but the man does not respond and instead disappears with the doom buggy as it works its way into the ride. The hostess goes to the load console, calls the unload operator on the phone to say, "Who was that you just sent to me? You wouldn't say hello." To which the unload operator responded, "I didn't send anyone around to you." They contacted their lead and all waited for the car to come out of the ride, and of course, when it did, it was empty. We were always told it was the ghost of Yale Gracie, the Imagineer who worked on the attraction.
Oh, interesting.
Whether this is true or not, I do not know. But I can tell you I cursed the employee who told me the story, especially on those late nights when I was alone, working the load belt, listening.
That's interesting. Actually, and something I've heard from the one in Disney World versus the Disneyland one is there was a somewhat of a similar experience I was told by a friend who actually works there in Disney World, that they had a situation where they were shutting down the ride, and on a camera they caught somebody in one of the doom buggies, and they thought it was somebody snuck onto the ride late at night, right before they were shutting down. So they had cleared everything, and they were in the process of shutting down, she said, and they paused it, and one person went from one side and another person from the other side, and when they got to where the person should have been, they couldn't find them. Supposedly they spent about an hour and a half looking for this person that didn't exist, and they never found the person. But she, of course, wouldn't say if there was ghosts or if it was somebody who snuck on, but interesting, to say the least.
Into that music, staring at the wallpaper staring back. This story, by the way, contributed by Michael Jamis to the Doom Buggy's Myths and Legends section. Go check it out for a more detailed explanation on this ghost story. Now, as far as I know, Yale Gracie did not walk with a cane. He might have, and he did not die at the Haunted Mansion. But this man, who was so known for his work on the spookiest attraction at the Disney parks, it wouldn't surprise me if he decided to just put put his feet up and enjoy his work for as long as he
Enjoying the
wanted
happy
to.
homes.
Good on him if it is Yale Gracie.
Yeah.
I'm not fully convinced it is, though. Let's move on because I have 2 more ghost sightings that were actually caught on tape at Disneyland. One still at the Haunted Mansion. We're not going anywhere. Okay, take a look at this security camera footage. Now, it's very famous, so you might have seen it before, but I think it bears looking at again. You can see here the glimmering shadow of what appears to be a person walking down the pathway in front of the Haunted Mansion, out between the 2 wrought iron gates, and then onto the promenade.
Oh, there it is. Look at that.
Now, this video has been debunked by people who study videos like this for a living, but I have met cast members who swear up and down on their lives that the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland is actually haunted, and that there may be some grain of truth to this video. Whether or not this is a double exposure of a guest leaving the Haunted Mansion or a security worker after hours, or a bona fide apparition having just gotten up that moving escalator and passing little Yoda. Now, just like Mr. Oneway, I'm going to leave this one up to you guys to decide. This is obviously an after hours video, so nobody is around.
Crazy.
I've also seen people say that this is the ghost of Walt Disney himself walking around the park after hours, but I don't believe that one either. Walt Disney haunts the fire station in the so if the Haunted
He leaves the
Mansion is
light on in
actually
the fire
haunted, if it's
station
really,
is the old
truly
legend.
haunted, we'd have to rename it the Haunted Mansion, right? Because the ride is called the Haunted Mansion, and if it's actually haunted by a real ghost, it'd be the Haunted Mansion.
That was a long walk caught on multiple cameras.
Yeah.
Of the same thing being translucent.
Yeah. That's a really interesting video.
Between well lit and dimly lit.
Yeah. So something creating its own light.
I wonder what the debunk was, like how concrete the debunk is.
So I had heard, I believe I know what he's referring to, but of course I can't be certain since he doesn't expand upon it. I had heard at one point in time that it was something that came out of the Disney studios as a like publicity stunt for their advanced technology in sort of CGI.
Right.
But then I had heard a lot of things saying that wasn't true. So I'm wondering if that's kind of what he's talking about there, but I'm not positive.
If you guys know,
yeah, leave a comment below. I'm curious if anyone knows what supposedly debunked that video, because it's a very interesting and compelling video if that is actually true and real.
Yeah, just the fact that it was caught on multiple cameras.
Well, and what's also interesting about that is you can tell that it's a camera recording it on a CCTV camera, which is sort of odd too.
And then since that ghost resides in the same building year-round, it would be the Haunted Mansion Holiday. So next time you're riding the Haunted Mansion or the Haunted Mansion Holiday, keep your eyes peeled. You may spot a visitor from regions beyond, although this one might not be pneumatic like all the others. Now, the wishing well on the side of Sleeping Beauty's castle is a Disneyland icon. It's an amazing little area where you can go, flick a coin into a wishing well, just like Snow White and her 7 dwarfs, who are actually part of a display behind the well. Now, this one's a bit creepy and can't be explained away the same way the Haunted Mansion one could be, because this is during operating hours, and as the camera pans up to the Snow White statue, you may see something a little off. There we can see the ever so faint outline of a person sitting on the facade right next to Snow White and of course her dwarves and animal friends. Now we can kind of rule out double exposure on this one because the figure sits there and moves with the camera instead of disappearing or staying in the same spot and position no matter where the camera moves to.
It's the same type of translucent figure as the last video.
People have died
I'm having trouble seeing it, I think.
Whitewash that fact away.
Good. Here, pan back.
And people have died at Disneyland.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Instead of disappearing or staying in the same spot and position no matter.
Alright, so see it? There's the body, and there's the legs, basically.
Oh,
so,
okay. I see it now.
That's interesting.
Sits there and moves with the camera instead of disappearing or staying in the same spot and position no matter where the camera moves.
Weird.
Yeah, that is a little weird right there.
People have
There's a face too.
I'm not trying to whitewash that fact away. Maybe this spirit just wanted to get a better view of the meet and greets, or perhaps this is a hoax after all. A similar sort of video can be found with this specter enjoying the nighttime fireworks. Now, is this just a fireworks technician enjoying their handiwork while the show is going on? No. One, it's probably very dangerous to be up on top of the castle like that while the fireworks are happening.
Well, and also, last time I checked, I'm not translucent. Look at that. That's weird.
Disney magic.
Yeah, that's always the thing, because this is Disney. Do you wonder if they've just
show, and by ruining the show, I mean, it sort of
that.
breaks the Disney magic, the Disney illusion. But there's also the fact that no one else is pointing at or freaking out about the man standing on top of the castle during the fireworks like I would expect there would be. So maybe this is another double exposure? Perhaps a superimposed Happy Haunt standing on top of the castle? I don't know. Ask Captain Disillusion, I'm sure he knows. So at the end of the day, you must ask yourself, is Disneyland a place where millions and millions of people have visited over the years haunted? It certainly is a place of a lot of emotions and memories, so maybe that carries with it some sort of ethereal energy. I'm not a ghost expert, though. Don't look at me like I'm a ghost expert, because I'm not.
Oh, we are.
Maybe,
don't worry.
Just
I
maybe,
know everything you want to know.
Slowly filtering out of Disneyland.
Coming to you next time I have any.
Walking through, let's see.
You got this.
Fantasyland.
For sure.
And you see the translucent outline of a man standing on top of the castle. Think to yourself, maybe.
If I saw that,
maybe that's not a
very
maintenance worker.
confused.
Why would he be translucent anyway? And maybe, just maybe, the legends about the happiest place on earth being haunted are more than just legends.
That's really crazy.
Hello, everyone.
So, I'm kind of surprised you didn't bring up another one that I've read about. So on Pirates of the Caribbean, on the Disneyland one, the skeletons that are on the ride are actually, for a while, were real skeletons. They actually got them from cadavers, is what I've always read. And it wasn't until more recently, probably a decade ago, I figure, or something like that, that they actually replaced them with fakes. And supposedly the ride had been haunted during that period of time, and that there had been, like, people seen just randomly riding in the boats and things of that nature, supposedly. Obviously, I don't think I've ever seen any video of that, so it's all hearsay and people talking. But
logically, if that stuff exists, it would make sense that if you're using real human skeletons, that you would generate some paranormal activity there.
Yep.
I mean, and at Disneyland, too, you know, I don't know all the parameters of paranormal, but I can't imagine a lot of people die at Disney, but there's probably a lot of people who would love to die and live perpetually at Disney. So
you're right there. There's probably a lot of people that are like, when I pass away, I would love to haunt Disney World or Disneyland.
Yeah,
for sure. But anyway, a little bit of a different video than what we've done in the past, but something that was very interesting and definitely probably relates to a lot of people's interest of Disney and the haunting. So let us know what you think of this and what your thoughts are, and as always, subscribe down below. But we'll catch you next time, folks.
See y'all later.